John, the next story is on the front page of the Sunday Telegraph, believe it or not. This is the main story. China will use electric cars to spy on Britain. Technology in green vehicles could be used to harvest information on drivers, warn ministers. And what struck me about this is that if I came up with saying that, then I'm sure people would call me an idiot, a conspiracy theorist or some sort of thing. And that's on the front page of the Sunday Telegraph. What do you make of that? Is it true? Do you think they're spying on us through our electric vehicles?
Well, I mean, apparently they've spied on us through those Huawei phones or whatever. They spy on us through Tic-Tac. And now the bastards are spying on us through electric cars. Now, I would never ever think of buying an electric car, but if you've got an electric car, isn't it frightening to think that they know that you're listening to Smooth FM or something like that? They know that your kids are plaguing, are we nearly there yet? Are we nearly there yet? They're going to hear you swearing at every bad driver on road, so it's frightening. I suppose one good thing to come out of it is it's going to make dogging a lot more interesting, knowing that people on other side of the world are tuning in. So, you know, every cloud has a silver lining. They don't mention the fact that if you're talking in your house, then the next thing is Alexa's gone and told not only MI5 and the CIA about it, but they've told Facebook and YouTube and everything, and you're going to get played with adverts or whatever you were discussing. You know, there's two myths here. One is that, and I have to say this, whether it gets me in hot water or not, is that electric cars are good for the environment. If you read the facts about where you know, the lithium comes from, the nickel and that, and this so-called carbon footprint that is an invention of BP's PR department, by the way, they're far than environmentally friendly. But the other one is that China's a threat to all of us. That they weren't a threat, were they, when we were closing down all industry in Britain, and they were making our steel and making everything, and people were being thrown on stones because China was cheaper. But now that their economy's grown, they're a threat, and we've got to be careful about them. And I think all it is, it's about, and I hinted at it in the thing about Pakistan, is that the US now is in the beginning of the end of its rule as a worldwide dominant force. The dollar is no longer regarded as a safe currency to base world trade on. So it's about making us scared of emerging markets, etc. And also, when we talk about conspiracy theories, there is a conspiracy going on, and that's the conspiracy of the ruling class in every country to keep us scared. When I were a kid, it were the Russians, it were the Cuban Missile Crisis. Throughout the 80s, we were getting pamphlets about take your doors off and put some newspaper up to your windows if there's a nuclear explosion nearby. We had all the scare stories throughout COVID that are now being disproven, and the effectiveness of lockdowns, etc. They're constantly bombarding us, whether it's our fault that the planet is warming, and now it's China. We've got to be afraid of them. But ultimately, behind this is the power of US imperialism and the possibility of all-out nuclear war against Russia and against China. And that's the real thing that we should be frightened of, not people that might be listening in to whatever you've got on your radio in your electric car, in between having to charge it every 50 miles at 100 yards or whatever. Can you tell I'm
all right. Thank you, John. now that I wanted to follow this up with a different story here, Pamela. So we've had one conspiracy from the Sunday Telegraph on the front page. This is in the inside. Legal right to pay in cash looms as key election issue. Red Wall voters overwhelmingly believe they should have a legal right to pay with cash in shops, a poll has found. Now, I wanted to also just play a short video that alerted me to this issue, which was this week. This is Piers Corbyn.
I'm going to buy some strawberries, and I'm offering exactly the right amount of money here on the help desk. So you people take that money, £1.90, and I will take my strawberries outside.
You can't
If
take
you want to
that.
call the police,
You can't take
call
that.
the
Police is on their way. You can't take that. Police is on their way. You can't take that.
I paid by legal tender.
No. Don't break the door. Do not break the door. No, don't touch.
I paid by legal tender, and I am going out with my strawberries. And I'm going to eat them. I'm going to eat my strawberries. I paid by legal tender in this dystopian place.
Yeah, we have no duty to check that.
Okay.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Right. Now, Pamela, I just wanted this issue about cashless shops and cash. What did you feel about this? Is this something we should be worried about?
Yeah, definitely. And good for Piers Corbyn doing that, because it's absolutely right. You have the right to pay by cash, but it's happening more and more. And again, it started really with COVID as an excuse, wasn't it? And it's not really stopped. But I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's, it's been quite an open thing that financial institutions want to do this. I don't think it's a conspiracy, really, because they're quite open about it. So obviously they want to do that, financial institutions and government, because they get a lot of data about us if you're using cards. So, and in some ways it's convenient, isn't it? They tell us it's safer than carrying cash, but it's not really any safer, because your debit card now, you can swipe it for £100, so somebody can be off with your debit card and not have to use a PIN. But the problem with it is not only the data that they gather, but it excludes so many people. So lots of people do not have access to bank cards or bank accounts for all sorts of reasons, but generally it affects poorer people. So as all of these types of policies do. So if you can't get access to a bank account and all shops move to this cashless kind of society, what are you to do? But even if you do have a bank account, what happens if you lose your cards? What are you going to do? You've got to wait for a new card to come. It's not a great thing to do. And yeah, it's convenient for the banks, but it's not convenient for anybody else. It's not even convenient for kind of small shops, because usually there's charges associated with cards. So again, they're having to pay more or pass it on to the consumer. So all round, the only people it benefits, as usual with anything, is the very wealthy, who don't want to be bothered with this cash and want to keep track of what we're doing, because they can target us, they can sell off data to people as they're doing. So yeah, we should oppose it. So good for Piers. We should all be doing that.